How's it going, everybody? We're back with episodes 5 and 6 of What If Season 2. Episode 5 is called What If Captain Carter Fought the Hydra Stomper? This episode opens up with Uatu the Watcher, the narrator of the series, simping for Captain Carter for a couple minutes. Now, he can simp all he wants, but those of us who watched Multiverse of Madness remember that she was the most useless member of the Illuminati. But somehow she was competent enough to become part of the Multiversal Avengers, which is just some very inconsistent writing. Now, this Captain Carter is the same Captain Carter from the first episode of Season 1 as well as the finale. She's the Captain Carter who came from a universe where she gained the super soldier serum, and Steve Rogers, still the scrawny little dude, gained a proto Iron Man suit and became known as the Hydra Stomper. In that universe, she went through a portal at the end of the episode and appeared in the modern day in 2011, similar to Steve Rogers but without being frozen in ice. After her return, she joins S.H.I.E.L.D., fights alongside the Avengers, with the only main difference being that the Wasp is part of the team, though not Ant-Man. After the Chitauri invasion, things seem to play out similar to Steve Rogers' Captain America up until the events of Captain America the Winter Soldier. Instead of finding a Bucky turned Winter Soldier, because Bucky in this world is the Secretary of Defense and Chief of the World Security Council, though I'm not sure how he's still this young looking when he's over 100. But in this world, the Winter Soldier type character is actually Steve Rogers, the Hydra Stomper, under the control of the Red Room. Similar to the Winter Soldier, they have kept him in stasis on and off since the 60s. Upon finding him, he's reactivated and he attempts to assassinate Bucky. Peggy and Natasha are able to stop him and attempt to reboot his personality in order to bring Steve back to the surface, though it turns out to be a ruse to get him to bring Peggy and Natasha to the Red Room, where Melina Shostakov and the Black Widows arrive to take Peggy Carter and, I guess, remove the super soldier serum from her body to make even better Black Widows. A fight ensues, and Steve ends up destroying the Red Room and killing Melina, possibly dying himself, though it's left a little open-ended. And so the episode ends with Peggy and Natasha beginning a hunt for Steve, because Peggy does believe that he's still alive, although instead, she gets taken through a portal into the Marvel Cinematic Universe version of the 1602 universe, also known as Earth 311, which I'm not going to spoil because the next two episodes are disconnected, so I'm going to talk about that when it happens. Now, here's the problem I have with Captain Carter. She basically says and does all the same things that Steve Rogers' Captain America would say or do, more or less, but with boobs and a British accent. She's just not different enough to be interesting. So on my ratings so far, this would probably be my second least favorite episode. But now, moving on to episode 6, What If Kahori Reshaped the World, we're introduced to the character Kahori, who is basically a Native American Captain Marvel who gets power from the Space Stone. In this universe, Marvel perpetuates the myth of the peaceful and noble savage, and a character named Kahori falls into a magical lake powered by the Space Stone and ends up in an alternate world where her ancestors have been living. At least those who also fell into the lake and gained power as well as immortality from the Space Stone. This lake is basically the fountain of youth in the Marvel Universe, and it's powered by a sliver of the Space Stone, broken off in the final battle between Odin and Surtur, who in this universe had a Ragnarok event much earlier on. Now, while Kahori is in this alternate world, her people, who seemingly are made up of very few men and have very few, if any, weapons, are easily captured by the conquistadors, some of whom make it through the lake into the alternate world. Now, this is her first day in this alternate world, and Kahori is immediately the best and most powerful person there. She instantly takes to the powers and becomes the most powerful person on that world. She then convinces the others to take the fight back to the conquistadors on Earth, and they defeat them, although not before she gets hit in the head with a cannonball in a hilariously animated scene. Now, credit where credit is due, Marvel does break the myth of the noble savage by having Kahori and her people use their power to colonize the entire world. She frames it as wanting peace between nations, but she comes into a foreign country destroying stuff and telling the Queen of Spain that if her people don't agree to peace, that they will die. Which is pretty much how every conquering nation has established quote-unquote peace since the dawn of time. Now, there isn't a whole lot of substance to this story. They don't really go into the culture of the Mohawk people, and they basically show a kind of stereotyped version of them. And the story isn't helped by how quickly Kahori masters her powers. I believe that this character was simply introduced to set up some character with Native American ancestry, like Maya Lopez in the upcoming Echo series. You'd think Marvel would have learned by now that this isn't the way to write a new character or someone that the audience can actually get invested in, but let's be real. And I also feel like this was a huge wasted opportunity to not invoke the Native American gods of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, given that we've seen gods from other pantheons, such as the Norse gods, the Greek gods, Bast from Wakanda, and some of the Egyptian gods. But instead of just criticizing the episode, I'm going to offer some suggestions that I think would have made the episode better. First, portray the Native Americans accurately. They weren't evil savages, but they weren't a bunch of peace-loving hippies either. Representation doesn't matter if authenticity is thrown to the wayside. 2. Hire new writers. Hire new writers. The MCU brand of dialogue has always been annoying. Like it was written as a text by a teenager whose lexicon is derived from Twitter. But it was agonizingly obvious how bad it was when you had Native American characters from hundreds of years ago speaking a different language. Now, obviously, I don't know the language, so I don't know if that was accurate or not, but the translation was MCU dialogue to a T. Again, authenticity matters. Lastly, I would not have instantly made Kahori the strongest character. There's much less room for development when you set it up that way, and if she can't develop as a character, then why should we care? I would have kept her powerless. However, she decides to fight the conquistadors anyways. She is either fatally wounded or dies, and this inspires the people of Skyworld to fight the conquistadors and win. Afterwards, the Native American gods heal Kahori or bring her back to life, and now she has powers. Powers that will take time for her to develop. So you show her character and how inspirational she can be without the powers, while giving her the opportunity to see her develop those powers later on. You invoke the Native American gods who get little to no exposure in Marvel Comics, but who would have had the perfect opportunity to be introduced here. And I know that the What If series showcases alternate versions of stories that we've already seen, but I would remove the Space Stone from the equation. There are more than enough MCU characters that have powers derived from Infinity Stones, and this way you could invoke the Native American gods, and you don't make them some overwhelming force who come in and solve everything. Instead, you portray them like they were portrayed in Moon Knight, where they are more like background characters, and perhaps they have an avatar among the humans. But I'm going to rate both these two episodes in the lower 3. The Nebula episode is still my least favorite, followed by the Kahori episode, which is second only because it's something a little bit different. Captain Carter and the Hydra Stomper is next. Happy Hogan Saves Christmas is also kind of a middle-of-the-road episode. The one where Stark goes to Sakaar is next. It doesn't have a lot of substance to it, but it was a fun episode to watch. And then finally, my favorite was the 1988 Avengers. But let me know in the comments section what you guys think about these episodes and what you would change, if anything. As always, if you enjoyed this video, I would appreciate it if you would hit that like and subscribe button, as well as the notification bell so that you never miss out on a new video. Thanks for watching.